if you have a rhombus and you draw in the diagonals, they actually make right triangles. Right there. And so if I know that one diagonal is 12 and the other 16, so probably the shorter one's 12, so that means this half is 6 and this half is 6. And the other one is 16, so this half is 8 and this half is 8, then what's this side? Question mark. Well, if I make a new triangle, it's got a right angle, 6, 8, we don't know. That's a squared plus b squared equals c squared, which is 36 plus 64, because that's, what, 6 squared and 8 squared. And that makes 100, which means that if you take the square root of both sides, you get 10. C. Okay. 8. A circular sundial with a diameter of 15 meters is placed flat on the ground. Okay, so let's see. And it's got I always draw a picture when they're talking about stuff like this. It's got a rectangular lawn. So we've got like a rectangular lawn, and that lawn is 30 by 60 meters. And then there is a sundial, like in the middle of it right here, and it's a perfect circle. Man, I drew that exactly right. And it has a diameter right across of 15 meters. Okay. What's the approximate area of the lawn that's not covered by the sundial? So to figure out this stuff, this colored stuff, I'm going to take the area of the rectangle and subtract the area of the circle to get what I want. So the area of the rectangle is 30 by 60. Then I'm going to subtract the area of that circle, which is pi r squared. So that is pi times half of this. Half of 15 is 7.5 squared. And that equals, put this all in your calculator, 60 times 30, and then subtract pi times 7.5 squared is 1,623.3. So, J. All right, number 9. What are the measures of the two angles shown in the figure below? All right, again, not crazy about how they wrote this problem, because they should have told you that this angle is a right angle. On the ACT they would. So that would be notation for a right angle, or just saying it in the problem. So if that's the case, then 2z plus 3z equals 90. And then 2z plus 3z is 5z. Divide by 5, z is 18. And you notice that one of the answers is 18, but that is actually not the right answer, because you've got to plug it back in to here. So you need to figure out what 2 times 18 is and 3 times 18 is, which is 36 and 54. So the smaller angle is 36, and this one over here is 54. In the figure below, a square with sides of length 6 inches inscribed in a circle. What's the diameter of the circle? Alright, so it's a square, so we know that there are right angles in it. So I'm going to make it into a triangle, because remember, if there's anything that this test is crazy about, it's the Pythagorean Theorem. Okay, so I know that the sides of the square are 6, so A is 6, and B is 6, and I don't know what C is, so A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So that's 6 squared plus 6 squared equals C squared. That's 36 plus 36 equals C squared. Now, notice that these answers, some of them have square roots in them. So that means that they're going to want you to simplify when you figure out the answer. So I know 72 equals C squared, square root of that. Okay, so now I need to figure out what numbers would go into this that are perfect squares. So I know that 72 is the square root of 36 times the square root of 2. Okay, so since I know that, then I know the square root of 36 is 6, and the square root of 2 is just the square root of 2. So my answer is 6 times the square root of 2. So the way you break down a square root like that is by breaking it down into tinier square roots that multiply to get it, and you want to pick something that's a perfect square. If there's nothing that is a perfect square is being like 4 is 2 squared, 9 is 3 squared, 16 is 4 squared, then break it down into, that's all you can do then. If it can't break down to one of these where you can get a number by itself out of it, then don't do it. Kind of like reducing a fraction. A red circle of fabric is to be sewn on a rectangular white flag that is 9 feet by 12 feet. Okay, so we got like a flag that is 12 feet by 9 feet. The edge of the circle must be at least 3 feet away from the edge. Okay, so there's like a circle here like this, and this needs to be at least 3 feet on either side. What's the maximum radius of a circle that can be sewn onto the flag? Well, maximum would be giving the minimum here, just 3 and just 3. So if this side is 9, and this is 3 plus something plus 3, then this also here also has to be 3. So now we need the maximum radius. Remember, diameter is all the way across. That would have been 3, which is why that's an answer, because they're trying to trick you. The actual answer is 1.5a. Alright, next up, triangles. Alright, in the figure shown below, AB is the same thing as AC, which is why these congruency marks are there. And the measure of angle B is 35 degrees. What's the measure of angle A? Well, if this is an isosceles triangle, which it is, that means that the base angles, the ones that are right next to those lines, here and here, they're the same. So that means this one's also 35. So I also know that all the angles of a triangle add up to 180. So I'm going to subtract 35, subtract another 35, 35 twice. So that's 180 minus what we've got, 70 we're subtracting from it. And that leaves us with an angle of 110. Fast one. I'm going too fast for you. You can always pause the video. You are in control of that part of it. Okay, in the figure below, they all intersect at point P. What angle measures is marked? Okay, what's the measure of LPN? Okay, so this is something called vertical angles. When you have two lines that cross each other, the little kind of angles inside from the crossing, they're equal to each other. Also, these big ones out here are also equal to each other. So anytime there's an X, those inside angles are the same. They're not all the same, just the ones that are across from each other. So for example, if this one's 63, this one is also 63 up here. This one is 37 down there. I also know that a whole circle around a whole angle is 360. So if I take 360 and I subtract 37 twice, and I subtract 63 twice, then I end up with 160. I can tell because these two combined are 100th. I think they're trying to make this pretty fast for you. So you end up with 160. You divide that by 2. You get 80 for those remaining angles. Okay, now they want to know LPN, which means I start at L, go to P, and then N. So they want to know like this angle right there. So 80 plus 37 is what they want to know, which is 100.